welcome back to England's History. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Manticore. I've been using it now for a good few weeks. I've got my head around it, I'm sussing it out, and I just want to help people understand it a bit better. I'm going to go into depth with it from all of the settings that are on the Manticore and try and explain and help other people understand how and when to change it, how to do a grain balance correctly, how to set the sensitivity, what the different programs do, what the modes do, what the kilohertz is, just a breakdown of the Manticore from top to bottom. So let's have a look.
Let's take a look at what I've sussed out with the Manticore so far, some of the settings I'm using, why and when to change things, how to do your grain balance, set up your sensitivity, etc. Okay, so it's on 9 at the minute because I'm in the house. Let's turn that right down so it's not falsing. Well, we go straight on to that. If you've set everything up, you've done your grain balance and that, and then you're going across the field and your sensitivity is too high, this is what will happen. If I'm just slightly over, you're just slightly over on your sensitivity, you're going to keep getting false in 1s and 2s, which is annoying. If you're too much over with the sensitivity, some people are trying to use it like this, and I think you're absolutely crazy, because you're going to be missing all these little chirps you're getting. You're going to be missing some of the deep targets. But if this is even higher, it's just going all over the screen. You've got no chance. Oh, let's turn that down. Yeah, so you want to be able to have the sensitivity. A lot of machines that you use before the Manticore, you used to be able to run it as hot as you wanted. You'd introduce a bit more noise. Obviously this is extreme, this is in the house, but normal metal detectors before the Manticore, you'd introduce as much sensitivity as you want, run it as hot as you can. You'll hear more noise, but you'll also punch more and get more depth. The Manticore seems to be working different. If you punch it too high, you're not just amplifying everything, you're losing targets, because it's so powerful. You're punching deeper into the mineralisation, deeper with the getting more EMI, and not just losing the targets because of the chirping, which is coming up all over the screen. You actually lose depth. So by balancing the Manticore to the best you can, you will get more performance out of it than instead of trying to run it too hot all the time. You're going to lose stuff by running it too hot. Okay, let's have a look. Let's start at the top. What has the Manticore got? So at the minute we're in all-terrain fast. All-terrain fast, all-terrain general, and I think all-terrain trash are the same programs, just slightly tweaked with recovery speed, discrimination, etc. When you go to high conductor, you're using a lower band of frequencies to get more depth. When you're using low conductor, you're using higher frequencies to try and get more sensitive to small targets. Okay, so let's go through everything. Obviously, you've got your language select at the top, vibration. You can have vibration in the handle, which is good for if you're underwater, and also if you're hard of hearing. You've got the light. You can have the light display on, which I usually have, but I've turned it down a bit for this video. Better for the visual. Keypad lights. See how the lights lit up? See that light at the bottom? All the lights, all the buttons light up. And then I'll turn it off. Because I use a power bank, I'll just have everything on apart from the flashlight. The flashlight is obviously lighting up behind me. Yeah, so I have the buttons on, the display on, brightness. Soft keys. Soft keys is where you can set quick buttons to access whatever you want to access on a fast option. So if I go into that, at the minute I've got the user button because I'm doing YouTube videos. I can push that. When I push that, it turns the speaker on and off. I can still hear it in my headphones, but when I'm doing a video and I want people to hear what I'm listening to, I can push that button and the speaker also comes out of the audio also comes out of the speaker underneath. So that's how I've set that. You've got recovery speed up there, frequencies, clear the ID map, which I don't think's any. Don't need that. It's quick enough to go anyway. All metal mode, accept and reject, and noise cancel. Great. So I would use it as, there's loads in there, and look, I use it as a speaker on and off. And then at the bottom, the top left, I use as all metal, so I can keep flicking in between all metal. And then the next one I'll do is a noise cancel, because they're the two that I use the most. And then that one's obviously to help move my videos. But you can allocate any of the free options to suit your type of searching. Now with the new update, you've got the ferrous indicator. At the minute, I like to use the bar, the red bar for when I'm in all metal. But if you're in all metal, you can also have the big numbers come up red when you're over iron. What I've found with the Manticore is if you trust the visuals too much, you're going to definitely be losing targets. You need to understand the language that the machine's talking to you in. And if you've got iron in the area, say, and there's a little target in that iron, and the bigger mass is iron and the small target is being masked by the iron, but it's still coming through. So the audio's nice, but because of all that iron around it, the visuals on the screen would just be going, it could be going everywhere. But if you can get that beep, 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 beep when you sweep, and you can get it to repeat, and if you, instead of doing big sweeps, if you're just doing big sweeps, you could miss it. So as soon as you get it and you can think you're honing in on it, just keep bringing the sweep and just don't go too slow. Give it a nice little wiggle then where you think it is, just a little area, and see if you can bring it to life. And then you're using the machine to its maximum to try and get the tiny targets out of that iron. And then you've at the bottom, you've got a reset. And then you've got the underwater headphone boost. Don't use that unless you are underwater, probably deeper than 2 meters. And the deeper you go, the more volume you'll need with the headphones because of the pressure. It tells you what software you're on, and that's the compliance, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so then we've got the multi-frequency. Always try and use multi-frequency. All the testing I've done, the multi-frequency seems to give the best audio and unmasking, separation and everything in multi. If you're getting a lot of EMI, then maybe go to the single frequency. Things might change when you start to get the large coil and the small coil. Single frequencies might perform even better, but we haven't got them yet, so we don't know. But always try and use multi-frequency unless you have to use the single frequencies. If you go to... Oh, what's happened there? We've got a glitch in the matrix. We've got a glitch. So, back to where we was. Whenever you use single frequency, you do not get the upper and lower ferrous limits. All you get is a target ID scale from 0 to 99. And your iron, instead of being at the top, will now come to the left-hand side. So it's an easier to understand search, but you are losing a little bit of performance in any of the single frequencies. 5 kilohertz is aimed and better for the larger targets, be it a big copper coin or relics at depth. You're better at punching deeper into the ground with the lower kilohertz. And as you slowly go up the kilohertz, you start to get slightly less depth, but more sensitive to the smaller targets. But always try and use multi when you can. Audio themes. I love it. It's nice that you've got so many options with the audio themes and also the different tones you can use to suit your search, to suit you. Audio themes explained. Okay, so normal is just normal, your normal signal. And then you've got Enhanced, which has got enhanced has got a filtering audio as such built into it. So if you're getting a lot of EMI, you could use enhance, and then you could go to rich, and that will help eliminate some of the falsing and some of the iffy signals, and it'll make the obvious strong signals stand out more than the iffy signals. But I believe you run the risk of losing some of the deep targets or the smaller targets. So I would always use normal and simple. The profile is a bit like an audio gain. So if you use rich, you've got, so that's the depth of your metal detector from the coils there, and that's as deep as it goes. In rich, you'll get a fade off from about 60%. So a solid signal all the way down to 60%, and then from 60% of whatever the target is, it slowly fades off to the abyss. Yeah, it starts to go really, really quite the deeper you get. If you've got medium, instead of being 60%, it's probably like 75%, and then you've got the fade off. So it's good if you're on a field where you've got a lot of modern trash on the top, you want to go deeper, you can use the rich or medium to identify the deeper targets. So it can help you on your searching there. But I like to have everything banging out. Whatever the depth, I want to know that signal's there no matter what. If it's a little tiny squeak that I might miss because it's below that 75%, and it's in the last 25% of the signal, I want that last 25% to still go bip, 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 not. You want it to be there. You want to know it. You want to know you've got to dig it. So I like to use simple, but that's all down to preference. Okay, let's go back into that a sec. You do have the option to use a threshold. So if you didn't want to use the horseshoe off all metal, but you still wanted to identify there was iron in the ground, you can go to your threshold level. It will change when you've got your headphones on to be more sensitive, but you've got a buzz in the background. If I was going to use it, I'd have the buzz the same as my iron pitch. And what happens then, as you go over, it's not going to work, so I've got iron. If you go over iron, that threshold, a solid pitch, will go, it will keep breaking. So instead of getting that brr, 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 and all the iron falls in, you could use your threshold as an identification that there's iron in the ground. So you're going along, it's humming in the background, you know you're in an iron area. So it's another way of identifying iron in the ground without having to listen to with the horseshoe off. I'm not really got into that yet. I'm still using it with the horseshoe off and listening to the iron. Doing quite well with it, enjoying it. Yeah, so you've also got the depth mode. The depth mode, it's a pitch. So you get if the target's on the surface, you get a high pitch, which you can adjust. You can change the minimum pitch and the maximum pitch. So that means the minimum pitch is when it's at its deepest, the maximum pitch is when it's at its shallowest. And then you can also have the ferrous pitch in there as well. Which is a good way of searching. It is good. The targets do stand out, especially if you're coin shooting. It is quite a good audio thing to use, but overall I like to use normal simple. So let's put that back into there. Okay, there's the audio theme. And you've also got gold prospecting, which is very similar. Target tones. This is all just preference. You're not going to get any different performance from using different tones as such, but it can make your search easier. I mainly use 5 tones. I have been having good fun in 2 region all tones. But it is just preference. But what I would suggest, you can use it however you want, But like I showed at the start of the video, where if you've got your sensitivity slightly too high, you're going to get a lot of ones and twos falsing, keep coming through. If you haven't got your pitch changed and you've got it up there, it's just going to sound like a good target constantly coming through on the ones and twos. Hear me now? Yeah. So the way I've done it, I've changed from 0 to 3, and so the tone 1 end at 3. So yeah, so 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3 will now give me a pitch of 1, which will sound like iron. So it's not going to interrupt with my searching. I've done exactly the same in the 5 tones, but then what I've done, I've gone my second. So when it's a good tone now, it starts at the pitch of 15 and ends at 39. But you just again adjust that to suit how you want it to be. But yeah, I would definitely think about eliminating at least 1 and 2, unless you're going for that tiny bits of gold and that on the beach. You might want to open it up and just listen to everything. So again, it's all about tweaking it to suit your searching. But yeah, as a rule, I use the 5 tone, not 5 region all tone, just standard 5 tone. And then again, I've done that. I've eliminated the first few, and I've jumped it up from the 1 pitch up to it. So anything that's a digger, it goes from a pitch of 8, a pitch of 18, and then it goes up and up and up. But you know, you can get your coins out and have a little listen to what you're going for, change the pitch to suit you. But that's how that's the 5 tones is what I've changed to suit me, and it works lovely. Okay, ferrous volume. I will set the volume at 4. You don't want it to 3 or 4. I think 3 I liked. I will change that back to 3. As soon as you go from 3 to 4, it jumps out a lot louder. I think I'll turn that up a bit to do the videos, but 3, ferrous volume 3 is what I like. Pitch of 1, so it sounds like iron, same as what you've set your tones to on your 2 region all tone or 5 tones, etc. So everything just sounds like you. When it's something you don't want, you want it to sound brr, 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 just like iron crap. Everything you want to dig, you want it to stand out and sound good. And now we've got the new feature of the stabilizer. Stabilizer is a very, very handy tool. If I was going to use it, I don't think I'd go above 3. As soon as you go into 1, you've got a chance of losing something next to iron or through the noise and stuff like that, EMI, because you are bringing in a stabilizer. So as soon as you add something, you're taking something away. So you could lose targets, but it's very minimal, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. But I wouldn't go above 3. And for me personally, I would not turn the stabilizer filter on. From the testing I've done, as soon as you turn the stabilizer filter on, it's a processor that's got to work. And as you go over a signal, it's all about one hit. So as you go over that, you're going over the coin. If you don't hit it first time, there's no point using it. And what I found sometimes on the tricky targets, only because I know it's there, it comes to life as it goes. It's just a little. You wouldn't even notice it, and then it goes. It builds up a signal. So I personally would not use that iron stabilizer filter. And if I was going to use the stabilizer, I would use that probably up to 3 if it's really bad iron infested site. I tried it the other day on a tricky site, and all I done was turned it to 1, and I could hear the difference, and it performed better. But I don't like to think I'm missing stuff. So as soon as that iron starts to get better, I'll just drop that straight back down to 0. But it is a really good tool. It is good. What else have we got? For upper and lower ferrous limits. A lot of people would just use that is a good setting for most of your searching. 0 at the bottom, 7 at the top. You can't go far wrong with that. I think the last time I used it, I was in my presets because I wanted to eliminate certain targets, and it's just slightly tweaked off that. I brought it down a little bit there than 7. I think that's gone to like an 8 because it kept leaching through and I was getting a lot of false in. So the good thing about this is you can tweak it to suit if you want to. Every other metal detector on the market that I've seen and used, you've either got, you've, say if it's the Knox, you've got your iron bias, and you can just put it 1, 2, 3. You can adjust that to suit. But with the Manticore, you can actually design that to suit the small nails and the big targets however you want, which is very, very clever. But yeah, you probably get away with just using the simple preset, go into that, upper at 7, lower at 0, and that will do you very well for most of your sites. If you start getting tricked by the sheet metals and stuff like that, battle caps, you can go down to the lower and just bring it up a bit. But be very careful, because this left hand side, I haven't noticed anything in the right yet that's been a good target, but definitely in this lower left hand side, that's where a lot of your low conductors, which would be on the line, if there's minerals or iron about, it can drag it down to that bottom corner there. So don't use too much lower limits, if any. But yeah, so then you've got all your different presets you can put for 4 different custom ones in there, and then you've got your preset ones. But I love that feature, that's cracking. Discrimination pattern. You can customize that. I very rarely have the discrim on, but if I have got it on, it's just up to 2, 0, 1, 2. But I've normally got my horseshoe off and I'm listening to the iron, and I'll just get the iron audio through my Ferris limits and tone breaks. Recovery speed of 5 or 6 I would use if the land is absolutely clean as a whistle, there's no iron, you're not getting no falsing off big iron deep or anything like that, you can afford to go to 3 or 4. But as soon as you go to the lower recovery speeds, you get a lot deeper, but you're going to lose targets. As soon as if there's a target there and a target there, iron there and a good signal there, you've got to be careful, you're going to lose targets. So I love just using 6. Use 6 nearly everywhere I go. If I start to get into a bit of iron, I might go to 7. If it's really bad iron, I'll go to 8. Yeah, your depth is coming down. You go from that deep to you might lose 20% by going to 6 to 8. But if there's a lot of iron there, you will not get that depth anyway. You could go down to 4 and you still won't get that depth unless you go snail pace, 10 seconds each sweep. You might be able to bring something to life, but I really don't think you're not gonna benefit from it. Use the machine, use the speed in the machine. If it's a blanket of iron like on a Roman settlement, don't be afraid to use 8 recovery. It will get in amongst the iron. It's rapid fire. But as a rule, 5 or 6 for general searching. Go up if you need to, come down a little bit if you need to, as long as it is very clean ground. Don't go to the lower recovery speeds if there's iron about. Ground balance. This is a bit of a a bar steward. Ground balance is a tricky one, and it seems to be even trickier with the Manticore. It is crucial that you get your ground balance set correctly to get the maximum performance out of the machine. You're only talking slight averages, slight percentages, say, but that can make all the difference on the right ground. One of my friends has spoke to one of the engineers that have said this is the right process, this is how to do it. So when you're doing your ground balance, you make sure you set everything to the height you're swinging your coil. So if you generally swing your coil an inch off the ground, which is advised by the engineers. Don't scrub the ground. They're saying that you should leave a slight air gap, which is different to most ways I've always been taught and how I've always detected, but they're saying leave a slight air gap. So say if you're going to leave a 1 inch air gap, all this needs to be done 1 inch off the ground. So you go into detect. If your horseshoe's on, dark area, turn your horseshoe off. So now you can hear the iron. Sweep the coil till you find a clean bit of ground. Once you've found a clean bit of ground and you're happy, hold the coil 1 inch off the ground and keep it still. And you're on that clean patch, so you know there's no metal. And then perform a noise cancel by holding the button down, keeping it pushed down until a number locks on at least 3 times. So it will go 2, 2, 2, then you can release. Or that could be any number, but yeah. So you've found a clean bit of ground, you've done a noise cancel, there's no metal there, you're holding it an inch off the ground. Then keep the coil an inch off the ground and adjust the sensitivity. So say if we've just done the ground balance, we're on the clean area now, and now I'm adjusting the sensitivity. Hear the little murmur? If I go 16 is too quiet, 17, too quiet, 18's just coming in, 20's a bit too chirpy, so I'd go for 19. So we know we've done the noise cancel, we found the clean bit of ground, we've done the noise cancel, we've set the sensitivity, everything's perfect at the minute, and now it's ready to do a correct ground balance. So let's turn that back down. So we've set it all up, now we do the ground balance. Again, you come off the ground about 6 inches and you go to the ground, but leave an inch gap. Don't touch the ground. You go an inch off, 6 inches up, an inch off, 6 inches up, an inch off, 6 inches up, until it settles. Once that settles, let go, and you have found the perfect ground balance. If it's still falsing, a way to identify what needs to be changed is at the top of your screen. If you keep getting falses on the top of the screen while your coil is still, then that could be an indication that your ground balance is not set correctly. So you could go into ground balance and just turn it up 5, see what happens. Then if it gets worse, drop it down 5, etc., etc., until it stabilizes. If you're getting falsing but it keeps coming at 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, then it could be your sensitivity is still too high. So you could drop your sensitivity 1 or 2. See if I go too high. It's a bit different in the house, but it's normally a 1 and 2. So that means my sensitivity, so I just drop the sensitivity till it stabilizes. So that is the correct procedure to do a ground balance. What some people will say is, as soon as you change anything, if you was then detecting across the field, you've got it all stabilised, it's all perfect, the ground balance is right, the sensitivity is right, it's running like a dream. Then if you change to low conductor, high conductor, or a different mode, which is using different kilohertz, and then you've changed the recovery speed, you may then need to do a ground balance again and follow exactly the same procedure. That's if you want to be very finical and you want to get every little percentage out of the machine. Most ground in the UK is neutral ground, so a ground balance of 0 is probably fine for most of your searching. But if your machine's behaving a bit funny, and you get in the falsing coming up at the top, and you think it could be the ground noise, if for instance you have to run your sensitivity. You're going across the field, and also everything needs to be turned down to stabilise the machine, and you've got to use it to say like 13, 14, 15. It's a good chance you've got a strong reading coming from the ground, all the salts and minerals in the ground. So then it's telling you need to do a ground balance, and then you follow that procedure I've just said. So yeah, that's ground balance. Tricky little subject to get it right. You'll know if your ground balance is off, because as soon as you sweep the coil and you touch a bit of mud or a bit of grass or some stubble, it will just keep falsing off all the time, and then you'll know that your ground balance isn't set right. It's obvious really, because the machine performs different to what it should, just falsing all the time. So that's ground balance. Noise cancel. Yeah. So noise cancel, you can be in the field. Let's just do that now. You can be in the field. Someone's just walked up next to you and they're getting falsing. Sorry, getting falsing. Just falsing a bit. I'll just tap the ground down. Tap your noise cancel, and it should settle it, but it won't in the house. If it doesn't settle it just from giving it a tap, like so. If it doesn't settle it from that, you need to do a full noise cancel. So just hold it down. So it went on. Went on to 4. It stayed there 3 times. That's fine. It's found the optimum noise cancel frequency. Okie dokie. So that's the noise cancel. We're nearly there. Search modes. Okay. So what's the difference? What do I think is the difference in the search modes? So ultra and general, ultra and fast, and ultra and trash, I believe, are the same program. As in, they're using the same weighted frequencies. So it's a neutral. It's a good search mode. The ultra and general, fast and trash, for most of your searching. So you just set up a program in one of them to suit you, to suit the field that you're going on, and that'll be brilliant. If you're on a field and you're going across and it's dead quiet, you're in an old church field, but you've had stuff off in the past and now it's just gone dead quiet, you could then go to all-terrain high conductor and going for the larger targets. So you'd use all-terrain high conductor. You'd slow your recovery speed down a little bit to help punch deeper as well. Obviously, you do your ground balance to suit, set the sensitivity correctly. It's going to help you to get a little bit deeper on the bigger targets. And once you've done that, you've hammered the field before for years. It's gone quiet. You've gone over it now in high conductor to get the bigger targets depth. Then you could go to the low conductor and try and get some of the small, tiny targets in amongst the iron that are getting masked by iron, etc. So then you could go to low conductor. And generally, if you're going to be using low conductor, it's because you're after the small stuff in the tricky situations. So you would go for low conductor, reactivity of 6, 7, or 8, because you're trying to get in amongst it. You might open up your Ferris limits as well. Just because as we said earlier, you can customize them. Just drop them back a little bit off the edges, just to open it up a bit. It will vary depending on what field you're on and what type of iron's in the ground. But you're just trying to get every little tiny advantage you can for getting in amongst the iron. So yeah, low conductors for getting the small stuff, high conductors for getting the big stuff. Ultra in general, fast or trash is a good all-round search. So let's have a look now. And then the volume to suit. I've got some earbuds now that I use, and having it maxed out at 24 is too late, so I've had to drop it to 22, 23. But yeah, so far this little beast is a lovely machine. Hopefully I'm taking it out on a Roma settlement Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. I've been using this, I've enjoyed it, it's been great, and it's performing. But I haven't. When I got it, it started to get really hot and the ground was drying up. So I haven't been able to get the maximum performance out of it. So it hasn't blown my socks off yet in performance. I'm hoping this is going to be good on a Roman site. I will probably use two region all tones to help pop these little targets out. But I don't know. We'll see how we get on. But fingers crossed we're on the goodies. I hope this has helped you out understanding the Manticore a little bit more. I know it sounds complicated, but I've just gone through everything that's on that menu, try to explain it for you, try to help you understand how and what to do, and hopefully it helps. This machine is worth putting the hours in. It's a tester's or an experienced metal detector's dream. If you like messing with settings, it's probably the best one on the market because it's got everything you can think of on it. It's absolutely brilliant. If you're new to metal detecting and you get this, it's probably going to blow your brains because there's a lot involved. You could, if I was brand new to this machine, I haven't been metal detecting long, I would bring the ferrous limits quite far down and the upper limits quite far up. I'd run the sensitivity about 18, 20, recovery at 6, and I'd just dig the bangers on the line until you get used to it. But the more experience you are, the more you get used to it, the more you want to know how much you can push it and to get the most out of it. And we're getting there, folks. We're getting there. Manticore, love you, baby.